You're saying that the Bible is saying
Yeah.
that justice is actually identifying the people who are marginalized and vulnerable and making sure that there are systems in place
Yeah.
that give them a leg up.
Yep.
Like that's
Yeah.
the biblical
Yeah.
view of
Yeah.
justice.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to say we're trying to be faithful to the Bible, and its wisdom about justice, I don't know.
It just becomes very clear.
Yeah, it's just, you just read it. Well, it can be easily misunderstood. Here's a good example. In the 1960s and 70s, there was a really influential theologian from Peru. He was Peruvian. He was a Catholic priest. And his name was Gustavo Gutierrez. And he just started writing like a madman because he grew up in poor, slum in Peru. But he was able to find his way forward through education and then a ministry in the Catholic Church. And so he just started writing. His most famous book was called The Theology of Liberation. And he ended up sparking a movement, a theological movement of authors and
Liberation theology.
Liberation theology. And it was encapsulated by this phrase that he coined called, if you look at the God of the Bible, who reveals himself as the God of the Exodus, and he calls it that God has a preferential option for the poor, which doesn't mean that you disregard fairness in favor of the poor. He's often misunderstood on that point. His point is simply this, that if you look at all of the hundreds of occurrences of mishpat in the Bible, there is 9 out of 10 of them are uniquely focused and aware of the difficult situations of the vulnerable. And if they are left behind in my vision of the future of my community, I cannot claim to be a just community. That just is the case. And it's through from the Torah to the prophets, and as we'll talk about right on into the New Testament as well. It's just, so how that translates into specific policies and legislation.
Yeah, you said
programs.
it could go too far. What were you about to
Well,
say?
I mean, this is what people debate about. So I think there is lots of room for debate. You just have to be an expert, I think, on the policy of whatever matter it is at hand, education or healthcare. I think at least we should be clear. If I'm claiming to be a religious person who bases my view of the world on the Bible, my vision of the just society has to be informed by this.